Welcome to Path Presents At the Forefront. Our last episode was titled, A Home is a Right, Not a Privilege. In that episode, we focused on housing equity and heard from two city council members that are working to address historic and lingering housing inequities that perpetuate homelessness in their districts. In today's episode, Meeting People Where They Are, we will be hearing from our amazing and hardworking outreach teams that serve as our frontline workers across the state. We will be discussing Path's person-centered outreach approach and sharing how their work helps ensure our unhoused communities' basic needs are met, while continuing to support them on their path to housing. Our moderator for today's conversation is our Senior Director of Metro LA Programs, Steve Feichter, who oversees Path's outreach, interim housing, and supportive service programs in Central Los Angeles. Steve will be interviewing several of our outreach workers across the state. If you've joined us for past episodes, you know that the At the Forefront series is an important outlet for showcasing how Path works towards our mission to end homelessness for individuals, for families, and for communities. And if you're new, welcome. At the Forefront is our way of educating people on the reality of homelessness and the services we provide. We also discuss root causes and advocate for solutions to ending homelessness. We've realized that providing outreach services is an important step in building trust with our unhoused communities and connecting them to much needed resources. And now, before we dive into the conversation, we'd like to set the stage with a video that helps highlight our unique outreach services in Metro Los Angeles and how we truly work to meet people where they are.
It's 7 a.m. at Los Angeles Union Station. Members of Path's Metro outreach team, Mark, Tim, and Julian, are hitting the Metro to perform outreach to people experiencing homelessness.
I always check the shoes.
Yeah,
The shoes are important because a person could appear like if they had a long beard and look like they're experiencing homelessness, but you look at the shoes and they got some brand new shoes on, and you kind of, have to judge.
Since beginning the pilot program in 2017, the Path Metro multidisciplinary teams have made 5,626 contacts with people experiencing homelessness on LA Metro property.
So you may start seeing, once we get past this brick wall, you may start seeing little encampments.
We're gonna go meet with LAPD. They have a little encampment there with 4 people. We're gonna go check it out and see what they got, what they need.
What I did is I got his information. He didn't want to do a CES, which would have been good because then I would have been able to get a better idea for how to help him and assist him. But he did let me enroll him. He did sign the consent form, verbal and a written one, so I can upload that. And I got his number so I can follow up with him.
When a successful contact is made, individuals can choose to be entered into CES, the Coordinated Entry System, a countywide database that allows community partners and service providers to help track clients and link them to necessary resources and services.
I'll be taking him up to Hope of the Valley to coordinate with the case management team there to do an intake, and he'll be able to get on the computers and contact who he needs to contact for his business. We're going to try to collaborate with LA Family Housing to get him housing today and get him clothes and things of that nature so he won't have to sleep on the bike trail.
For the outreach team, the well-being of people on the streets is first and foremost.
What services do you need? How can I help you today to make your day a better day? Have you eaten today? Where did you sleep last night? Are you in contact with your family still?
In a typical month, Metro teams reach hundreds of individuals, providing resources, connections, interim housing opportunities, and building bridges to help people finally make it home.
Wow, what an awesome video. And while it's a couple of years old, it's a beautiful example of the kinds of work that's happening here in metropolitan Los Angeles as we outreach to our neighbors experiencing homelessness on the streets, on trains and buses and train stations, just anywhere we find them, wherever they are. Hi, friends. My name is Steve Feichter. I'm Senior Director of programming here in metropolitan Los Angeles, and really thrilled to be talking to a couple of amazing folks today. I'm here in the beating heart of PATH Metro LA on Madison Avenue, surrounded by the support and service teams that keep the wheels on the bus, but we're going to head out into the streets to meet some really cool folk and talk to them about the boots on the ground work they do in outreach every single day. First, we're going to talk with Ann Reyes, who's our Associate Director for Outreach here in Metro LA. Ann began with PATH over 6 years ago and has grown into her role as an Associate Director, worked in the field, and has really done an amazing job. She's our strong passion for the work that we do here, and she truly believes in meeting our clients wherever they are. So she's joined today by Patrick Mooney, who is our outreach coordinator in the metropolitan LA area. Patrick with deep experience in the community and boots on the ground experience as well, and well connected to all of the work that's happening to reach out to our homeless neighbors here in Los Angeles. So hi, Ann, and hi, Patrick. Welcome. I see you're out there in the field with boots on the ground. We'll start with you, Ann, if that's cool. Why don't you start by telling us what's one of the biggest misconceptions that you hear when it comes to outreach?
I hear about outreach from the general public is that outreach workers, we just focus on providing snack packs, hygiene kits, and referrals to shelter. And although that's kind of our foundation and how we start to build rapport, that's not all we do. We also do a lot of linkage to wraparound services, helping participants get or obtain their documentation, reconnecting them with family members, trying to get them started with benefits, and linking them to a lot of medical and mental health services as well. So, we have a lot of things under our scope, and it's just something that outreach is really special.
That's awesome. Thanks so much. So tell us, in those 6 years you've been here with PATH, what's the one thing you've learned about outreach services in Metro LA that you might not have known before you started?
It's definitely a lot of information, but I came to PATH and to homeless services really fresh. So I did not know the vast network of services that exists out in the community. So, knowing the different providers that we can link participants to, and just the collaboration we have with different agencies and service providers. And I think part of that, which is really amazing, is that if I don't know that these networks existed, sometimes a lot of our participants don't know that these networks exist as well. So the great thing about outreach is that we're able to link them to these services that they might not have known about at all.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. You're boots on the ground now, and outreach is often the first contact that our homeless neighbors have with services and support. But PATH here in LA and across the state connects people through all phases of the journey from homelessness into permanent housing, including the development of that. So maybe you could say a few words about why you feel that whole continuum of support from PATH is important.
Yeah, definitely what's really great about our outreach team is that we see them from street to home. And this whole episode is meeting people where they are, and that's all what we are about. We don't force the housing process on them. We definitely like to hear what our participants' needs are and work with them, no matter how long that may take and what that course kind of looks like. But the overall goal of getting our participants housed and indoors is that it provides them a chance to stabilize. For a lot of our folks, they don't have that sense of safety and security. And by providing housing, that's something that they can achieve. Another thing is, when we are working with our participants, a lot of them say that, they would like to start employment or, go back to school. And, for a lot of us, we kind of take something like being housed for granted. So, if we're able to house them, they're going to be able to meet their basic needs, as well as have a place where they can shower, they can get a good night's rest, so that they can meet some of those goals that they have to improve their quality of life.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Well, we know that we work with one person at a time, and people are individuals, not numbers, but I'm going to ask you a couple of numbers. So can you tell us about how many folks your teams have currently housed through the LA Outreach program, in the last year or whatever framework you have?
Yeah, so I been team for a little over the 5 years. And so as far as I know, we've been able to house a little over 28 participants, and we have a couple participants that are currently in the works of being housed right now. I know over this last month, we had 2 participants that moved into permanent housing. So, we're really excited, and, everyone's journey is really different, and we're happy to be part of that process.
And how long would it typically take, do you think, to help someone make it home?
This is a question that I love and I get a lot of. So everyone's housing journey is different. So there's not an exact timeline that's right or wrong. So again, in focusing on meeting people where they are, however long that takes, we're able to help them. So whether it's going to be the turnaround process could be a few weeks, a few months, or maybe even up to a year, we're with them through that whole process.
And one more question for you, Anne. When you're looking for someone to join the team and do the amazing work that you do, what are some of the backgrounds or personalities that you might be looking for in a candidate?
That's great, because we are looking for some unique members to join our team. So one thing about outreach, and this can kind of go on to your first question about a common misconception, is that anyone can do outreach. So it actually does take a unique person to be able to do this type of work. First, the thing that we're looking for is the passion to help for others. As long as you have that whatever it takes attitude, which is something that I really look for the staff on my team, that they're willing to work with the participants. You're not going to really have easy days. And what we're looking for is people that are going to be willing and open to go through that journey with our participants. So, a background in working with the homeless population is definitely a plus, or those who have worked with individuals with disabilities, mental health barriers or physical barriers is what we're looking for. But then at the end of the day, we're just looking for someone that is willing to come in and do the work and have that whatever it takes attitude.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much, Anne. We're gonna hop over to Patrick, who's in your screen with you too there today with those boots on the ground, to talk to Patrick a little bit about the unique ways that PATH works in the community. Patrick is deeply rooted in the outreach community here in Los Angeles. He works not only for and with PATH, but also brings together and helps to coordinate the outreach services from multiple agencies and constituents here in LA. So Patrick, thank you so much and welcome. Thanks for being here today. Say a little bit for us, if you would, about the unique aspects of what PATH's outreach programs are doing here in LA.
Well, thank you for having me here, Steve. Our teams offer a few different programs. So we have our generalist outreach, which are generally housing specialists. We also have our E6 MDTs on our Metro team that kind of travel Metro lines, and they offer like multidisciplinary services, so nurses, other type of services that are more comprehensive. We also have just contracted teams with specific council districts or businesses, and we kind of just network between us to get things done here in Los Angeles.
Very cool. Well, we all know that the experience of homelessness leaves people often, traumatized and with some difficulty connecting. So maybe say a little bit about how, what the approach is effective that you found in reaching out and helping our homeless neighbors feel more comfortable receiving and having services and support.
Of course. So I think the first thing we do when we're engaging our unhoused neighbors is meet them with no preconceived notions. We're trying to understand them where they're at. So we meet them and we consider trauma and our trauma-informed care. We consider housing first to get them out of their current situations. We consider just a number of things like substance abuse and what was the word for that again? Motivational interviewing as well. Harm reduction. Harm reduction. That was it. Harm reduction. Wow. And then, of course, motivational interviewing. So allowing the client to kind of speak for themselves, allowing the client to kind of develop their own path towards success, whatever that looks like. So those are some of the methods we employ.
Absolutely, and easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that. Well, we just came off a heat wave last week, and we're looking toward another as the summer months are upon us, and the temperatures are rising. What are some of the things that our outreach teams do to protect our unhoused folk from dehydration and heat stroke?
We've been receiving funding for meal kits, so we've been distributing those in the morning before it gets too hot. Those often come with water, but we just have water. We hand those out to a lot of clients. But on top of that, Los Angeles County has opened a number of different cooling shelters. So what we've done is communicated with outreach teams where those cooling centers are, how to access them easily, the hours, everything like that. And then there's just the communicating our normal shelters and letting them know that there are availability at a number of our different shelters if they need to get in, and that too will help with the heat, with air conditioning and all of the other amenities that come with that. So.
That's great. Thank you so much. Really, truly meeting people where they are and supporting them in whatever they might need in that moment. Thanks so much, Anne and Patrick, for the good work that you do every day here in LA and helping people make it home. We are going to head up to the Antelope Valley now, friends, where Javier, our veteran peer support coordinator, will share unique and about a little bit more about the unique and rural environment that he provides outreach services. How are you, Javier?
Very good, very good. Thank you for asking. And you're absolutely correct. It is a unique environment out here in the Antelope Valley.
Yeah, absolutely. So say a little bit more about what are some of the innovative ways that you meet people where they are who are in rural areas, like in the Antelope Valley.
Sure. Well, I think it's important people understand first that the Antelope Valley just by itself is a little bit over 3,000 square miles. And within that footage in that area, you're talking about rivers and streams, lakes, high desert, hills, mountains, and quite a bit of a diverse terrain to cover to really connect with our veterans and whatnot. So a mentor of mine way back in the day told me that unique problems require unique solutions. And so one of the things I kind of started utilizing here as I'm kind of engaged with the community was utilizing an aerial drone, just like this. It's a DJI Maverick, and it really allows us to go into some of the remote valleys, creeks, mountaintops up in this area, and really kind of streamline the process of finding the community members that we're trying to engage with and streamline the ability to get to them. And this way, we're spending a lot more time interacting with the community, engaging in services and whatnot, versus spending hours and hours just trekking through mountains or hills or forests and whatnot. So it's been a really creative solution that's really helped us increase our ability to connect with our veterans out here.
Wow, that is incredibly amazing, and what a cool use of tech. So how is it then that you build relationships of trust with people, and maybe even particularly as you're using drones, but in general with folks who are experiencing homelessness in the Antelope Valley?
Sure. Well, I'm blessed to have quite a bit of training from PAP and the VA and a variety of other organizations, and I bring a lot of life experience and military experience myself. But honestly, the number one thing I can do is just be patient. I understand myself, and the veteran helping them understand is they didn't get to their situation overnight, and they're not going to get out of it overnight. So a lot of the times, I just give them my ear and I listen to them. I think we're all guilty of this at some point. It's easy to be dismissive of this community, unfortunately, and they're still human beings. They got feelings and emotions, and they want to feel like they're being listened to and heard. And so I overwhelmingly started every relationship with just listening. I don't get in my own way. I don't talk about service, so that I just say, hey, my name is Javier. Let's start off with your name. How about we share a few stories that we probably have in common? And little by little, step by step, inch by inch, I build that relationship. So when they're ready, we help them, PAT as an organization, we help them empower themselves to correct their situation, to get to the quality of life that they really want. And it's a very slow process, but we're there every step of the way, making sure that they feel supported across the board.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Javier, and thank you for the amazing work that you're doing there in Antelope Valley. We're headed up now on that virtual bullet train to Lee Clark, our lived experience case manager, outreach manager in San Jose. Hi, Lee. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Well, I'm good. Thanks so much for being with us. Tell us a little bit about, if you would, some of the ways that you personally connect with your clients as you're doing your outreach work.
Well, I go out there. We give out hygiene kits, food bags, non-perishable food bags, sometimes hot meals. But we offer services as well, you know, and the way I really connect with them is because of my lived experience. In the community, the people that I go out to and offer services to are some of the very people that I was out there on the street with. You know, so they know me from before, so it's easier to connect with them, and you know, it's easier to win their trust because you know, being out there, a little bit more how to connect with the people out there.
Yeah, you truly even more than empathize with people. You've lived it with them, and that's amazing. We're going to throw a picture up on the screen here, Lee, and would love to hear you say a little bit more about what's going on in that photo.
All right, in that photo, at the beginning of the pandemic, I started delivering food to the homeless through Destination Home. You know, they opened the door for me. I started out first delivering food, getting a gift card. You know, from there it turned into a job opened up, making living wages. You know, and I used to deliver like 225 meals 3 times a week, hot meals 3 times a week, and on Saturday I deliver a lunch and a breakfast to the homeless community. You know, and it went on for about maybe 5 or 6 months. You know, during the pandemic, and it was really good. People really appreciated it too.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much, Lee. Thanks for sharing, and thank you for really bringing your whole self into this work. You know, we see it every day that whoever we are, as we bring ourselves into the work of outreach and connecting with people, that we're able to walk alongside them and help them to make it home. We're going to head on south again to San Diego now to hear from our outreach specialist in downtown San Diego, Shannon Hughes. Well, welcome, and thanks, Shannon, for being on with us today. Can you say a little bit, Shannon, about what led you to a career in outreach services?
Yeah, absolutely. So my experience with the homeless community actually began through volunteer work. I was consistently volunteering on a weekly basis, doing outreach actually here in downtown San Diego with the church group, but focusing primarily on just building connections with people and making sure they felt like they were being seen and heard. And then when I got my degree, I did it specifically in mind of advocating for marginalized communities. And so by the time I was looking for a career, I saw that Path was hiring for a new coordinated street outreach program, and it just clicked. There's nowhere else I'd rather be.
That's awesome. Thanks so much. Say a little bit about, we always talk about meeting people where they are. Can you say a little bit about what that might mean for you in particular?
Yeah, absolutely. In outreach, meeting people where they are is often quite literal. We find people where they're staying and then follow up with them wherever they may end up. Often that is on the street, but it's also in night shelters and hospitals, at hotels, wherever they happen to be until they get to their housing. But beyond that, it's also just meeting them wherever, wherever they are in life, wherever they want to go. Something that Anne mentioned that I really love is talking about the do whatever it takes attitude, which is completely necessary for a person-centered approach like Path has. If someone's not ready for housing, that doesn't mean that we're just going to skip over them. We can help with getting documentation, just help with meal services, connecting to other programs here in San Diego. It's really about whatever that person is ready for and wanting to do. And so we stick with them wherever they're at.
Yo, thank you so much. So Javier is using drones in the Antelope Valley, and Lee is using his own personal lived experience to connect with people. How do you build trust with your clients and the people you're working with in the community?
I really just do that through consistency. If someone's not ready for services, I just try to be a consistent face for them, continually showing up in the same areas, checking in with people wherever they're at. Even people who aren't ready to work with me yet, just showing up again, remembering their name, asking how they are, asking if they're ready for anything else. It's all about understanding and getting to know the person before you even work with them.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Shannon. Really appreciate all the feedback today and the great answers. Thank you all. Thank you so much for your participation today, for your amazing work every day. Those boots on the ground, connecting with folks who are in dire need of support and services, and walking alongside people who've experienced homelessness to help them make it home. We're going to pass it back to Jennifer Hart-Dietz, our Deputy CEO here at PATH to close us out. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in to our At the Forefront episode today. And thank you to all of our outreach team members who are out in the field every single day. If you all are interested in helping our outreach teams, here are 2 ways you can help. First, if you see a person who is experiencing homelessness, you may use these resources and hotlines to submit a referral to connect them to PATH and other local homeless services providers. Secondly, as temperatures rise this summer, you can help our unhoused neighbors stay cool by donating much needed outreach kits to our teams. Some of the items that may be included in these kits include water, sunscreen, hats, socks, and snacks. Please email the following program leads to set up a donation drop-off in your region and help our unhoused neighbors stay cool this summer. We look forward to seeing you again in October for our next episode focused on building homes and creating affordable housing communities for our unhoused neighbors. Thank you all once again.